like to first start by introducing everyone with me. To my right is our County Executive, Johnny Olszewski, our Administrative Officer and soon-to-be County Executive, DeAndrea Walker. To my left is Chief Joe Dixon, Delegate Carl Jackson, Delegate Nick Allen, and Delegate Kathy Forbes. I want to begin by thanking all of our officers and detectives who work tirelessly to make Baltimore County a safer place to live, work, and to visit. Your dedication and commitment are to be commended. I'd like to first recap our timeline from last night. As I shared last night around 7:15, it was actually specifically 7:12 p.m., there were multiple callers to 911 reporting shots fired in the area of White Oak and Loch Raven Boulevard. That's the 8500 block of Loch Raven Boulevard, that area. Simultaneously, there were also calls regarding a car on fire, which resulted in the fire department's response. Upon arrival, officers found a vehicle fully engulfed in flames and several individuals suffering from apparent gunshot wounds. One person located near the vehicle was pronounced deceased on the scene. 9 other people were located outside the vehicle, the majority suffering from gunshot wounds. At this time, detectives believe that all 10 individuals were inside the vehicle at the time of the shooting and the subsequent crash. One of the 10 victims was pronounced deceased on the scene. 8 people suffered from gunshot wounds. The injuries sustained by the 10th victim do not appear to be associated with the gunshot wound. All 9 victims were transported to trauma centers here locally. At this time, one of the 9 victims has been released. The victims are between the ages of 14 and 27 years of age. 2 of the injured are females. The deceased has been identified as 26-year-old Charles Graham Jr. of Baltimore City. A breakdown of their ages has been emailed out and posted online. At this time, the search for those responsible continues. Last night, there was a question about the Blessing homicide and the funeral. The Andrew Blessing homicide occurred not far from yesterday's shooting, and it's an ongoing investigation. At this point, nothing has been ruled out. We are taking a look at all serious crimes that have occurred in that area. There was also a question about retaliation. Right now, we're taking and considering the whole situation in terms of retaliation and dealing with that. We will have additional marked patrol units, our Eastern Community Action Team officers, our outreach officers, and our other detectives and undercover capacity personnel working in that area. The Maryland State Police has also reached out as well, and we have requested additional patrol presence from troopers from the Golden Ring Barrack. Our message to our homeowners: we are here for you. Some of the resources that have been deployed will be easy to spot. Others won't be, and that's by design. We will have our resources out there in the community continuously working. The Precinct 6 Captain, Captain Craig Schroeder is here, and he's assured me that they will have around-the-clock coverage to cover that community over there. As I mentioned last night, we do not believe this was a random act of violence. While the individual or individuals responsible have not been apprehended yet, we remain vigilant and additional resources have been deployed. I would urge everyone to be vigilant. If you see something, please call 911. If you have additional information about this crime, we're asking you to call 410-887-4636. That's 410-887-INFO. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the community for their quick actions and willingness to assist law enforcement. I want to assure all Baltimore County residents that the safety and security of our communities remains the department's top priority. And incidents of violence will not be tolerated or normalized in Baltimore County. In closing, I want to thank our local, state, and federal partners who have reached out to offer support. Next up will be our Fire Chief, Joe Dixon. Chief.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Joe Dixon, Fire Chief of Baltimore County Fire Department. And what I want to say first of all is that I'm very proud of our responders, all of our responders, but the members of Baltimore County Fire Department and their ability to quickly pivot from fire suppression to life-saving efforts when confronted with a complex incident. As mentioned by our police chief, there was a vehicle on its side into a building on fire, and they still had to render care with a concern about scene safety. So their decision-making and quick actions were integral to successful mitigation of that scene. The establishment of command, the implementation of a plan, and then the execution of that plan. And then the seamless transport of, as mentioned, 9 individuals to our surrounding shock trauma facilities. This is something that we're very proud of, the coordination between our departments. We also want to thank, because during this time, we had to, after the scene died down, take care of our members, our personnel, because this type of scene not only affects our community, which our heart goes out to, but it affects our personnel. So our local Chick-fil-A, they stayed open. So I want to say thank you to them, because that allowed us to debrief and to give the needed care internally to our members. So thank you to our community. Next year, we have a Stop the Bleed campaign that's coming up that we want our community to certainly come out. It's going to be in conjunction with shock trauma. So we'll have more information on that on our website and on all our social media, along with other courses where you can learn life-saving CPR and first aid. Thank you very much. And next up, we're going to have our county executive, Johnny Olszewski. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon to all. I'll first begin just by echoing my appreciation to the men and women of our fire and police departments for the incredible work that they have done and continue to do under the direction and leadership of Chief McCullough and Chief Dixon. We know that some of our first responders have been working literally around the clock on this case, and I want to assure the public what the chief has said, what Chief McCullough has said, that we are fully committed to ensuring that we bring those who committed this act to justice, have every confidence in the ability of the men and women of the police department to do just that. And so in addition to myself, both chiefs, County Administrative Officer Walker, our partners in state government who've been acknowledged, as well as our partners in local government, like Councilman Mike Ertel, who joined us last night, and Councilman Julian Jones, who's with us today. We will provide any and all resources to address the situation, to support those who are working tirelessly to bring justice to those who committed these acts, and to make sure that our community both is safe and feels safe. And so I thank the police department for putting forward the resources to put additional patrols into action. We thank our partners at the state for helping to ensure that as well. And again, I would just implore anyone out there who has any information to please let the police department know, so that we can solve this and bring those who committed these acts to justice. I said this last night as well. I'll just reiterate it. These acts are shocking and completely out of character for what happens and how we expect our communities to be safe in Baltimore County. And the fact that it is so shocking and out of character, I think speaks to the incredible work that people do day in and day out. That does not take away from our commitment to this case. It does not take away from our commitment to the sense of safety and security to our residents. But I assure you, again, we have all the resources in place, and we'll be supporting our fire and police chiefs in the days ahead. So with that, I'll turn things back over to Chief McCullough for any questions you may have.
who they are or any of those individuals included in the 10 individuals that I were heard in.
Right now, our investigators are looking at all leads and all information in this case. So they're working to track down that type of information right now.
So you don't know who the suspects are at this time?
We're working on the case, and I'm not able to talk about that at this time.
Chief, you mentioned a couple of times that it's a targeted event. How do you come to that conclusion? And you said one person has been released. What are they or any other survivors telling police what happened?
Well, at this time, of course, we always attempt to get the cooperation of anyone that's involved in the incident. Right now, we're working to get the cooperation of our victims and witnesses in this case.
But going back to my original question, how do you know it was targeted?
Right now, we have other indications, other things that we're not prepared to talk about at this time. But there's other parts of this investigation that tie together that we're working on.
Chief, what kind of vehicle was that on fire? That pulled 10 people? Is there a make on it or what it was?
I'm not 100% sure, Fire Chief. Did we ever determine what type of vehicle that was? I know somebody said something to me that it was possibly a Dodge product, but I'm not 100% sure. It appeared to be an SUV.
Where exactly did this incident start?
From what we can tell from the physical evidence, that it started several blocks down White Oak, away from that intersection, and it appeared to proceed up White Oak towards Loch Raven and ended where the vehicle was resting.
So it started in the residential area?
Yes, it did.
Was 10 people shot or 9 injured? With injured means they wasn't shot or they fell and hurt themselves. Was all victims were shot?
Well, as I explained earlier, there was one person that was shot, was deceased. There appeared to be 8 other persons that were actually injured from gunshot wounds, and there was one individual that had some injuries, but right now it doesn't appear that that person suffered any gunshot wounds at all.
Chief, you talked a lot about, I heard county exec say just yesterday about how these things don't happen, right? And you mentioned the potential connection of the homicides that happened recently. What do you say to those people who are lifelong residents of Towson, Parkville, this area, where they're not used to seeing it? How do you reassure them of safety in this community? Because you guys also put out yesterday, this is targeted, there's no threat to the public, but there are others that can say, well, we are all in this community together. What do you say to those folks?
No. And what I'll say is that we know that this isn't normal for Towson, and these things don't normally happen. And we do our very best to prevent these things from happening. But when they do, we put all of our resources, all of our efforts into making sure that we address the incident itself, but also we put measures in place to make sure that we're protecting the community. Even last night, we had a detail that was just starting at the time of this that it happened. They were already assigned to specifically work that area based upon information and past incidents that we had already experienced in that community.
Chief, can you tell us how many guns were used?
At this time, we don't know exactly how many guns were used. We're still analyzing ballistic evidence and everything in this case.
And to follow up, was there an exchange of gunfire, or was it all coming from one direction?
Right now, investigators are still working to determine that. We're not prepared to talk about that at this time. There will be additional information when it's time to discuss that. We will come forth with that additional information for you. Sir? I'm not prepared to talk about that right now. We're continuing working on our investigation, and we're examining all leads and all evidence in this case.
You mentioned retaliation, that this was targeted. Does it appear to be gang related?
Right now, we haven't confirmed that it's gang related. We do know that there appears to be at least some rival individuals in this case, and we're working to try to, determine exactly what's going on here.
Do you know how the victims were related, and why all 10 people would be in a car like that, or how they knew each other, how they related?
It's been told to me that they all know each other, and that somehow they may have known the individual Blessing and his family.
But you can't say for certain if this is connected to that homicide?
Not at this time, but we're working to see and to make any connections that may be involved there.
And you also mentioned ages range from about 14
Basically 14 to 26 or
Any
so.
idea how many juveniles that are under 18 were involved?
It was mailed out to you guys. You guys have the specific individuals and their ages that we sent to you.
Quite an extensive crime scene. Could you help elaborate on both where this incident occurred and where victims and evidence were located throughout that area?
And basically, you're talking about area, and I'm just estimating. I mean, you're talking about a 5 to 6 block area in that neighborhood. Our investigators are still there. They were out there this morning and today, even combing and examining and looking for additional evidence in the case.
We'll take one more question.
Do you know who owns the vehicle?
Not at this time. We're right now still, doing, our crime lab is examining that vehicle right now and going across it for evidentiary value.
Thank you all.